Welcome to Lead. We're talking about maturity and the importance of that in the life of a leader. And well, if you're following Jesus, you should be leading someone. And so, whatever capacity you're leading in, well, we just know that maturity is so important. It's vital to the effectiveness and function of you as a leader. And I've been in this mode of talking about spiritual armor, and that the mature leader has spiritual armor on, is armed also with weaponry. And I think about our most devastating weapon is prayer. In fact, in Ephesians 6:18, it says, "Pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests," making petitions and supplications before God. It's our heavy artillery. Prayer is. And I think about when I was a kid, I don't really carry weapons now, but when I was a kid, well, if it was a pocket knife or slingshot, I had the kind that you go get a fork from a tree and put some rubber bands on it, or a tire inner tube and make you a slingshot. And then I had the kind that later on, the kind that you fit in your arm, it was metal, and you bought it and high-powered kind of thing. And then BB guns and pellet guns, and I had a bow and arrows at one point, and then guns. I learned how to. My dad was a hunter. Learned how the rifle and difference between it and a shotgun, how to use them and when you wanted to use them, and all those kind of things. And probably never used them necessarily as a weapon to defend myself, but as a weapon to target practice with, or to hunt, or whatever. And well, having that weapon gave you an advantage, gave you a big advantage. I mean, deer hunters, I'm in Indiana. In Indiana, they do it every year. They go out and they wait for the deer to walk by, and then boom, or with a bow and arrow or crossbow or whatever, high-powered rifle or whatever you're using. Well, you have the advantage because you have the weapon. The deer doesn't have that. Or anytime we're hunting, we have the advantage because of the weaponry that we have. Well, God has given you the advantage as a leader. And I believe this, a mature leader embraces this wholeheartedly. He's given you advantage with prayer as a weapon, right? Pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of praying and request. Prayer is your weapon. Dale Moody said it like this. It said that it was written in the margin of his Bible. It said this: prayer must always be the forehorse. And the way they spelled forehorse is not F-O-U-R, but F-O-R-E. The horse out in front, the leading horse of the team. Prayer must always be the leading horse of the team. Do whatever is wise, but not until you have prayed. Send for the physician if you are sick, but first pray. He went on to say, begin, continue, and end everything with prayer. In other words, make prayer a priority in your life. I want to tell you that the effective leader has learned and understands that prayer is vital to their leadership. And I love what Richard Foster says in Celebration of Discipline. He says, to pray is to change. And what I find out is this, that when I'm praying, well, God is working in my life and bringing change. And I think it's so important that we understand that prayer, well, you can pray for any person, in any situation, anywhere, right? Doesn't matter location, doesn't matter who the person is, doesn't matter what they're going through, right? The who, the what, or the where. Many times it doesn't even matter why. You can pray. You can pray for them. You can pray for the circumstance they're in, or the place they're in. And I think for the mature leader, well, it's understanding that there's a maturity of the secret place. You can read about it in the Psalms. I love what John 15:4, Jesus, he says this, and I think it's so important It says in verse 4 of chapter 15 in John's Gospel, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. Unless you dwell in Christ and you continue to, well, you're not going to bear fruit. There's no effectiveness. And I want to tell you, that comes in the secret place. The time that you set aside as a leader, knowing that there's somebody that you're responsible for, somebody in your life that is depending and counting on you, that as a leader that you have developed the secret place in your life. Sometimes you got to calendar that thing. You got to put it in a place where it becomes a priority. Because here's the thing: most powerful thing you can do as a leader is pray. Bar none, it is the most powerful thing you can do as a leader. But here's the thing: there is more that will fight in your life, fight that time, that idea of having a prayer life and developing that. There's more that will come against that than you can ever imagine. That's why you have to be so strategic and intentional about planning prayer time. It's your most devastating weapon. It's the heavy artillery that you have. And so you've got to make your mind up that I'm going to set aside this time. Morning, I say this all the time, I think is good. Maybe your schedule don't allow for morning. Put it on your calendar and let nothing stand in the way for that prayer time. The other aspect of prayer maturity is that of intercession. Interceding for those that are depending on you and counting you. Standing in the gap. I keep a list of people that I pray for daily. I encourage you to do the same. Start with the people that are close to you, and then as time permits, add others and spend time praying for them. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1 says this, that we're to pray for all people. And I think those that are closest to you will start there, praying for those, praying for leaders, praying. It's a sign of maturity when you're covering the people that you're leading in prayer. And the other aspect of prayer, I think, that helps with maturity is the idea, the aspect of waiting on God. Part of your prayer life is having that secret place. It's praying for those that are counting on you, that you're leading, but also having that moment in time where you just sit before the Lord and you're waiting on Him. And not the kind of waiting that you're like, oh, I wish this hurry up and be over, or I'm sick and tired of waiting, but the kind of waiting where you're waiting with anticipation. You're waiting with expectation. Isaiah 40, verse 31 says that they that wait upon the Lord, well, they're going to renew their strength. They're going to mount up. They're not just going to exist. They're going to accomplish something because of that expectant waiting. Like the runner at the starting block, he's waiting to hear the gunfire so he can go. And you're waiting to hear the response from the Lord to tell you to go. And sometimes in those times we don't know how to pray, and waiting is important. Romans 8:20, chapter 8, verse 26, sometimes we don't know how we should pray. 1 Samuel, Hannah's praying. It sounds like at some point she's praying from her heart, right? She's praying. It's not so much the eloquent words that she's speaking, or even the powerful words she's speaking. It's a heart place that she's coming from. And I think it's getting that place, as Ephesians 6:18 says, that praying in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. Sometimes maybe the Lord's giving you a prayer language. It's in your prayer language, as Romans 8:26 says, that there's some sounds that are going to come in prayer, that sounds that are beyond your understanding. There's also the idea of prayer models. I mean, over the years, I've just used so many different models. I encourage you to do that. Sometimes you can pray the Word. Open the Word up. There's specific, especially the prayers of the Apostle Paul. There are great prayers to pray. That is a model for you. Tabernacle prayer, great model. Sometimes people will do an acrostic like ask. And there's others acrostics that you can do to pray. I'm just saying this, that prayer needs to be a part of your life if you're leading, because it is something, right, that you have that sets you atop and above just normalcy, that you can have communication with the sovereign of the universe, and that you can speak to him, and he knows your concerns, and he knows your heart, and he knows what you're struggling with, and he's concerned, and he says, you can bring that to me. You can cast that care on me because I care for you. Prayer. Don't overlook prayer. Start with prayer. As D.L. Moody said, begin with prayer, continue with prayer, and end with prayer. Make prayer the priority of your life and watch how God works beyond you in amazing ways.